I've been reflecting on my life recently, and I realized something. There are very few moments throughout my day where I am truly and completely alone. I work at an office building with hundreds of people. I come home to a roommate. I spend a lot of my time and effort filling my days with the friends and people I love. Now, I'm not saying that because there's any sort of issue with it. There is a little bit, but that's not why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because I think the only time I am utterly alone is when I am in my car driving somewhere. It is where I feel the most myself. It is where I feel immensely Syd. But I've always wondered, how could I be even more detached from reality, fully without responsibility, trusting that the destination is making its way to me instead of I, it, metaphorically taking the back seat, or physically taking the back seat. Now, if you were able to follow along with any of that rambling, or you read the title of today's video, you'll know that we are talking about driverless cars, specifically Waymo.
We're gonna pick my friend up in our Waymo. She's gonna love it cause I'm getting in our Waymo. Waymo, no way, no. It's a Waymo.
Essentially, Waymo is a rideshare app like Uber or Lyft, but specializes specifically in driverless cars. You open the app, type in your address, and within minutes, a robot is at your door ready to take you to your desired destination. It's kind of like if Uber and Roomba had a baby and that baby was capable of shooting a human being down the street at 45 miles per hour. But when I first moved to LA, I saw these cars around all the time, and I thought that they were like Google Maps GPS cars because they have that little like spinning camera on top. And then I learned their true purpose. And since then, I have had very conflicting emotions. So today, we are going to deep dive into Waymo and answer questions like, will this put Uber and Lyft drivers out of a job? What happens if the Waymo crashes? And is it morally acceptable for me to enjoy Waymo? And obviously, we're gonna get on one of these things. So let's go. So I wasn't completely off base when I said I thought these were Google Maps cars, because apparently Waymo is a subsidiary of Alphabet Inc., the same company that owns Google. Looking to the Waymo website, they say that their mission is to be the world's most trusted driver, making it safer, more accessible, and more sustainable to get around without the need for anyone in the driver's seat. They launched in February of 2024 and are located in 3 cities, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix, with plans to expand to Austin and Atlanta in 2025. So right away, we could see that they are targeting cities with massive urban sprawl, large roads, and tech-forward cultures, but not necessarily like a super solid public transportation infrastructure. Now, I don't necessarily see Waymo expanding into smaller, more historic cities like New York or Boston anytime soon. And when I say smaller, I mean like tighter, more narrow roads with a lot of foot traffic and a lot of jaywalking. Because this is a car that thrives on a lot of data. But we'll get to that. Let's go back to Waymo's mission where they say they want to be trusted. They want to be safe. If there's anything Waymo wants you to know, it's that their cars are
safe.
Okay? They're safe. They say it 8 times on the front page. Safe, 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 safe. These cars are safe, and don't you ever doubt them on that, okay? They're like really laying it on thick there. They say that there are over 1 million deaths because of car crashes worldwide every year, 36,000 of those being in the US alone. That's a big number. If you think about it, that's about 99 people dying in a car crash every single day, only in the United States. But then they go on to say that 94% of all car crashes come from human error, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with what they're trying to get at here. They're saying almost all car crashes in the US happen because a person in the driver's seat made a decision that was wrong or bad, so let's take the driver away from the situation. That'll help, right? But technically, isn't it still human error if a human builds and programs a car and the car makes the wrong decision or the technology goes haywire? To me, a driverless car skeptic, this seems more like how can we divert blame from a human to a company? And who is this company behind its $30 billion valuation? Guys, I wanted my moment. I wanted my moment where I ripped the mask off of the Waymo CEO and it's 3 Elon Musks in a trench coat. But actually, the co-CEOs of Waymo seem like perfectly qualified people, of course. Dmitry Dolgov has his PhD in computer science from Stanford, where he did his postdoctoral research on motion planning for self-driving cars. He then went to Toyota and headed their self-driving car project. Then he went to Google and became head of software for their self-driving car project, which ultimately became Waymo. So he's basically been doing this since I was in a booster seat and couldn't even spell Waymo and couldn't even walk and couldn't even breathe yet, I don't think. And Takedra Malakana is a Columbia Law graduate who has bounced around from tech companies like AOL, eBay, Yahoo, and Intuit before ultimately landing at Waymo in 2017 as their global head of policy. So when you're used to CEOs who, at best, spend their time turning my favorite website into a cesspool of incels and MAGA freaks, and at worst, get themselves Takedra and Dmitry seem like a breath of fresh air. Supposedly, these guys should know what they're doing. But let's take a look at the cars themselves so we know exactly what we're stepping into. So the Waymo car itself is a fully electric Jaguar I-Pace, and from what I've found, they could cost anywhere between $150,000 to $300,000 to build in all the bells and whistles. But the most interesting part about Waymo isn't the car itself, it's the technology behind the car, or what the company is calling the Waymo driver. Going back to their website, the Waymo driver is the embodiment of fully autonomous technology that is always in control from pickup to destination. Passengers don't even need to know how to drive. They could sit in the back seat, relax, and enjoy the ride with Waymo driver getting them to their destination safely. And the Waymo driver operates with 4 components operating in tandem. LiDAR, or light detection and ranging, uses sensors which send out laser pulses to map the surrounding area. This is kind of like when a submarine uses sonar to map out obstacles in the deep sea. The Waymo has 29 cameras on or in the vehicle, which give the Waymo driver a 360-degree view of the street. The car also uses radar frequencies as another layer of scanning the road for obstacles. And finally, all of the information from the LiDAR, the radar, and the cameras goes into the car's computer, which processes all the data and helps map out the safest route for the Waymo. And if for some reason the car malfunctions or dies or explodes, there is a 24/7 helpline that the rider can call, and there's always a representative on the other line that can take over the controls of the car and drive you to safety. Which I don't know about all that. That seems less safe than just letting the car do its thing, if you ask me. Because I don't know how much I trust Joe Schmo in the control tower to get my Waymo to safety the same way that your 7-year-old nephew is playing with Hot Wheels. But I digress. So far, everything that we've talked about is all easily findable on the Waymo's website. You are hearing this directly from the horse's mouth. But what if I don't trust this horse? What if it has shifty eyes and whinnies all weird? What if I don't want to drink the horse electrolytes? That's like horse Kool-Aid. What I'm trying to say is, let's get in one of these things and test it out for ourselves. Download the apps and take a crap because it's time to get in the Waymo. We're going to Waymo! Okay guys, I have to come clean about something. I am a Waymo user already. I know! I'm sorry! I've taken it a handful of times throughout my neighborhood or to go to like party or a bar. This isn't biased though. It's biased. It's a YouTube video essay. Do you want academic integrity? Go to JSTOR. This is YouTube. Anyways, so I don't know how it works now, but when I first got the app, you had to kind of be taken off of a wait list to use it, kind of like Raya in a way. I don't think they want it to be exclusive though. I just don't think that they have enough cars to service every single person that wants the app. So when you first open the app, it's very similar to Uber or Lyft. And what I like about it is that it kind of tells you exactly how fast the car can get here. For example, right now it says that my car can get here in 10 minutes, so now I know how to plan my time. It also has a map with the service area so you can see where in your city you can go in the Waymo. And I don't know what it's like in every single city, but in Los Angeles, you can get all the way from the coast, like Santa Monica, Venice area, over to like downtown Los Angeles. It does have some limits though. I don't think it goes on the highway in any city, not that I've seen yet. Well, just because you don't see something doesn't mean it's not real, because actually Waymos have been testing on freeways throughout 2024 according to their website, and I believe it will be incorporated more into the technology as it becomes safer to do so, but I don't think it's been approved in every single city yet. So back to you. It also doesn't go to the airport. I think for pretty valid reasons. It's a really tough area to navigate. But let's order the Waymo and we'll talk a little bit more while we're waiting for it to get here. My first time getting into one of these, I was scared as hell. I was shaking in my damn boots. So I looked up what happens if one of these things crashes. Who is responsible? Because it sure as hell shouldn't be me. And luckily enough, it's not. According to the Rideshare Law Office, the people behind the programming and the company maintaining the autonomous cars are fully liable for crashes. This feels beyond fair to me. Initially, I was like, what? A company is liable instead of an individual? This feels like a really crazy way to get away with a lot of shit and only have to like pay a fine or whatever. But then I thought back to safety. So if they're dead set on being the safest option, obviously they're not gonna want to have unlimited crashes. I don't really know what I was thinking. We are mobile now. It's gonna be here in about 5 minutes. So let me walk you through what that's gonna look like. It's probably gonna drive up on the street and look for a place to pull over safely. It's not like an Uber where you could just throw the hazards on and kind of be anywhere. It's gonna find a safe spot. Now, in the past, I've had to walk around the block to make sure that it is in a safe area for me to get picked up, which kind of defeats the purpose of getting somewhere safely if I'm dropped off like 2 blocks from my location. But I understand that the Waymo doesn't really have the wherewithal that a human being would and can't necessarily make that call. I'm only going about a half mile away, so it's not gonna be a very laborious journey. There aren't gonna be a ton of twists and turns, but this is just for you to see the basic ins and outs of what a typical Waymo ride looks like. This cost me $9 to go 0.7 miles down the street. I haven't been in an Uber that's less than like $5 to $6 in a really long time, so I guess it is kind of double that almost. And just like Uber, you can see it arrive on the map as it's getting closer, so I know when to go outside. Because unlike Ubers and Lyfts where they wait for you for 5 minutes, Waymo only waits for 2 minutes, so you have to be ready to go, especially if for some reason the pickup location changes and you have to now walk down the street. So be outside and be ready to get in the car when it comes. I was not able to make it down in time to watch it arrive, but it's here now, so let's take a look. This is what the car looks like. It has a license plate just like any other Uber, and it shows your initials on top, and we're gonna go get in.
Good to see you, Sid.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start the ride.
Heading to
And,
Coffee.
and off we go. So there's ambient music playing right now. I am gonna go ahead and pause it. But this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's a really nice car, really clean, smells good. Stops at stop signs, goes when it's time. And I am fully and completely alone. I would be lying if I said this wasn't really freaking cool. I think it's amazing, the technology behind it. And I like that it tells you exactly where things are on the road around you. Like, of course, I can see all these cars, but do I know if they see it? No, but they tell you. Here's some more of the interface. You can pick music. They have different radio stations. You can ask it to pull over. You can call for support. You could do a map. It shows you all of the different things. You can sit anywhere in the car. I don't think you could sit in the driver's seat. I've never tried. I don't want to try personally, but I actually don't think it'll let you because I don't think it wants you like fucking with any of the controls, you know? So I'm about to be at my destination. I'm sure she's gonna cut me off.
Almost there.
Yeah.
Don't forget your phone, keys, or holiday cheer.
Cute. Don't forget your phone, keys, or holiday cheer. I have not forgotten any of those things, so I am good to go. And it tells me it's finding a spot to pull over right now. So it looks like it's gonna do just that. And people are filming me. Ooh, a little bit of an abrupt stop here. Nothing too crazy. And, oh, okay, jerking me around a little bit.
You're here. Please make sure it's clear before exiting.
Thank you for coming along with me on my Waymo ride, and I will see you back at home. So nice to be back. Let's talk about what just happened. Also, I'm gonna kind of talk about my cumulative experience with Waymo, not just this time, but all times, because I've had a bunch of different experiences, and I kind of want to touch on all of them. Firstly, I just want to say that I'm a cautious person. I am a paranoid person. I try to see the good in everyone, but I do often assume the worst when I'm getting into a situation like getting into a car alone with a man or anyone that I don't know, really. I'm gonna be on edge. I like that I don't have to feel that way in a car. As a woman, I feel really safe in a Waymo. I don't feel the threat of someone else taking my life into their hands in a way that is not technological. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean. And maybe that is a doomsday approach, but when it comes to women's safety, I am always better safe than sorry. So I appreciate that about Waymo. One thing I find really odd about the Waymo experience though, and this is with every single ride I have ever done, but especially one, people are going to film you. People are going to be looking in the windows. You are going to feel like you're being paparazzi'd at all times, especially if you take it up to Hollywood Boulevard. I don't know why I even did this. I was going to a show at a theater that was on Hollywood Boulevard, and it's like right on the Walk of Fame, right by like the Chinese theater. I was going to an event and I was like, I'll take a Waymo. That was the biggest mistake of my life. I felt so famous for 5 seconds, but it was really odd to step out of a car and have a bunch of people filming you. I didn't like that. But it is funny to see this collective fascination with these driverless cars. It's so futuristic and weird. I honestly understand why someone would be drawn to that. I myself film Waymos a lot, so I guess I really can't blame anyone for having like a fascination with these cars, you know? And going back to the safety thing, I hate that they're right, but I do feel very safe in these things. I like that the car tells you its thinking process as it goes along. Like if you're coming to an intersection and you need to turn left, but the light is green and there's cars coming in the opposite direction, it will say, waiting for the intersection to clear. It will show you all the pedestrians walking along the side. It shows you the obstacles so you know the car is seeing it too. I have never felt like I was put in an unsafe situation because of these autonomous vehicles. And I was wondering if I was the only person that felt that way. So I actually posted on my Instagram asking some of my friends and followers to tell me about their experiences with Waymo or other driverless cars, and I'm gonna show you a few of those right now. I didn't think about it. And then I was really scared. And then I calmed down and was fine. It was honestly cleaner and nicer inside than most Ubers, but they freak me out when I'm driving near them. I feel like this is a common theme that we're gonna see, is that people don't like driving around the Waymos, but they feel fine when they're inside. And I wonder what the disconnect there is, because if you've been inside the Waymo, you will know that it does generally feel pretty safe. I mean, every car is prone to error, and you're gonna see that there are some mixed reviews between me and my friends and some of my other friends, but it's weird to feel safe inside the Waymo, but unsafe around one. This one's interesting. Dude, a Waymo I was in blew through a pedestrian walkway and almost got us T-boned in the same ride. This was clearly not this Waymo's night. She was not doing well. I have not really been in a situation where I felt like it made an unsafe decision, but clearly that is not the case. There are situations where not every detail is taken into account, where not all of the components are like working properly as they should. Thank you for your testimonial. You are very brave. Sometimes after a night out, I want to talk to no one, and that's awesome. But most of the time, I only use it when it's significantly cheaper than Uber and Lyft. This is actually something we haven't talked about yet, is pricing.
This cost me $9.
The pricing varies wildly. It could cost $30 to go down the street, or it could cost $10 to go all the way across town. If I'm with friends, we'll take Waymo as a novelty if it's comparable to Uber and Lyft. The one thing I will say is that a $15 Uber versus a $15 Waymo, the Waymo is still going to be cheaper because whether you see this as a pro or con, there's no one driving, so there's no one to tip. But yeah, I don't think they've really figured out their pricing model yet. I don't know how it works because it feels like when the Waymos are expensive, the Ubers are cheap. It feels like it's not like congruent with the rest of the rideshare apps sometimes. There are so many Waymos in SF, San Francisco, but it took years for me to feel okay getting inside of one. I took a Waymo ride for the first time a couple weeks ago and it felt safe and smooth, but took so much longer to get to my destination than an Uber because Waymos only go on specific roads. I haven't heard any testimonials from anyone else in any other city, so it's kind of cool to see that it's a similar experience across the board. This is something that I think is really special. Waymos are good and fun for the novelty, but there's no better feeling than being blackout, coming home from a bar, and having a passionate debate with your Uber driver about which Succession character is the most valid. We haven't talked about this yet. Human connection. Sometimes I really enjoy the conversations I have with an Uber driver. Sometimes I am wildly uncomfortable. Sometimes I feel comfortable to say whatever I want with my friends. Sometimes I don't. But that's all part of being a person and being alive. And that's something that kind of fades into the background when you go into an autonomous vehicle. So it's all about what you're prioritizing at the end of the day. And finally, this is from a close friend of mine. Thank you, Rue, for submitting your response because I think every single point you make is pretty much exactly how I feel. She says, "We're Team Waymo in this house, sister. 1, it's usually cheaper. 2, I feel safer taking it alone as a woman and I don't have to stress about getting a driver that makes me uncomfortable. 3, I feel safer when I'm dressed for a night out or when it's dropping me off because no one knows where I live. 4, I'm someone who gets car sick, so sitting in the front seat is better for me, but I don't usually do that when there's an Uber driver, but I can do it safely when I'm in a Waymo. 5, superficial but valid point. I can control all the car controls without having to ask, i.e. AC, music volume, or how far back my seat is. I think the one thing we're missing, the one con in this house, is the human connection. Sometimes I really do like that. Thank you all for submitting your reviews, but the citizens, we're making it happen, are not the only ones with Waymo experiences. So let's turn to the rest of the world. Okay, there's some disconnect here. Didn't film this part before, don't know why, but we're getting into it now, so let's talk about it. How is it possible that so many people are having wildly different experiences from me with these things? Actually, okay, that sounded self-centered. Let me rephrase the question. Why am I the only one having fucking fun? Listen, I'm not trying to excuse crime or anything, but I understand the apprehension in trusting a driverless car or even wanting to see one on your streets at all. This isn't the first time this kind of backlash has happened over publicly accessible technology. I mean, look at bird scooters. Look at those little Uber Eats robots that they had to start naming so we would humanize them and accept them as our own kind. And if not our own kind, maybe like a subset of our own kind of on par with the Minions or those aliens from Toy Story. What I'm trying to say is like, thank you, Zoe, for your service, but I understand how people have an us versus them response to seeing a robot seemingly make decisions. And that begs the question, is this going to put Uber and Lyft drivers out of business? Short answer, probably not. In the state of California, there are roughly 400 Waymos restricted to relatively small areas of the cities that they drive in. Compare that to about 200,000 Uber drivers. I think we're good. There would have to be a massive shift in technology, pricing, and overall attitudes towards autonomous vehicles to even make a dent in other rideshare apps' success. So the bigger question remains, what do you guys think? I enjoy Waymo for the novelty. I enjoy it for the safety. It's fun. It's funny. I have a good time when I'm in it, but I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. Do you think that this is just another step in the direction away from human connection with other people? Do you think this ties hand in hand with the rise of AI and the rise of technology that we've been seeing that doesn't look like anything we've had in the past? Are you excited about Waymo? Do you wish it would come to your city? Do you wish it would stay very far away because it's scary and weird? Let me know. I really enjoyed doing this deep dive. This has been something I've been kind of obsessing about for a while, so I'm glad to take you along on my journey. And as always, have a phenomenal day, and I will see you later. Mwah. Bye. Okay, guys, let's get in another Waymo, please. Please. Please, let's get in another Waymo. Please.
We're gonna pick my friend up in our Waymo. She's gonna love it cause I'm getting in our Waymo.